Okay guys, make sure to like, comment, and subscribe. Now, fasten your seatbelts. Here we go. Alright guys, I'm back. It is Friday, August 7th, and it is 11:14 p.m. Eastern Time. Now, I have already uploaded a video for this evening, and it is going through the process of processing. So, and you know, that takes an awful long time on YouTube now, because I have to make sure that, you know, the Nazi police have to come in and make sure that you haven't said anything that you shouldn't say. So anyway, we are going to pick up right from where we left off, and I'm really hoping I don't have peanut butter on my face, because I just took a break and had a little bite of peanut butter. But you know how that is. Peanut butter has a way of, like, you know, getting all over. All right. And my poor cats, they won't even be in the same room with me right now, because I made chili this afternoon, and I made a really, really hot and spicy chili, and the cats will not come within 10 feet of me. And really, in all likelihood, I probably should have given them some beans in self-defense, but, you know, next time. Okay, well, let's just pick up from where we left off and just continue on. All right, here we are. All right, Jail Fauci, massive international study shows countries with early HCQ use had 79% lower mortality rate. This is huge. We are talking over 100,000 American lives. Now, this is from yesterday, from the Gateway Pundit, and this really is huge, because he is directly responsible. And he is the one that said, well, several years ago, that, you know, he was touting the use of HCQ, not for coronavirus, because it hadn't occurred yet. But yeah, so he is very, very, very slimy. He is a deep state critter, if ever there was one. So please pass this on to all of your please pass this on to all of your loved ones. The latest international testing of HCQ treatment of coronavirus shows countries that had early use of the drug had a 79% lower mortality rate than countries that banned the use of the safe malaria drug. This means that Dr. Fauci, Dr. Birx, the CDC, the liberal fake news media, and the tech giants have been pushing a lie that has had deadly consequences. Absolutely. You know, I've been looking for a new car, so that every time I go somewhere where there's some advertising, that's all I get is car ads. I still haven't bought one. America has lost reportedly over 150,000 lives, and that could have been lowered by nearly 80% if HCQ use would have been promoted in the US. And if Donald Trump had had his way, it would have, right? But they like to fault Donald Trump for the high fatality rate, which we know they've up the numbers and everything else, every dirty trick they can think of to make Trump look bad. But Trump is the one that wanted this drug adopted early. And if it had of, how many lives would have been saved? But no, they didn't want it used. They wanted to demonize it in the media and everywhere else so that Trump would look bad and they could blame it all on him. Very, very sad and deadly games they're playing. We are talking over 100,000 American lives could have been saved. And I think we're all well aware of that. And we're aware of the fact that Donald Trump, if we had listened to him from the very start, this would have been over and done with. We would not have had to shut down the country and ruin the economy and everything else. But of course, the liberals, they know everything, don't they? And Fauci turned out to be a deep state rat. On Wednesday night, Dr. Raman Osoy, I'm not sure if I'm pronouncing his name right, and I apologize if I'm not, went on with Laura Ingraham to discuss the study that involves the populations of 2 billion people. Dr. Raman I don't know. This Dr. Raman, says there needs to be consequences for such glaring and deadly errors that cost tens of thousands of lives. Dr. Raman, we'll call him because I can't pronounce his last name. It's really devastating to Dr. Fauci, Dr. Hahn, Dr. Redfield, and their performance. I think not only should they be embarrassed, but I think they really need to be held to account. Physicians have fiduciary responsibility to act in the best interests of their patients. And of course, we know that Fauci did not, nor did Dr. Birx. And we know that because we can see now clearly that they are deep state and they did not have this country's best interest in mind at all. Please take time to listen to this. It could save your life. And here is the website that has compiled all of this international data. This is a gigantic story. Over 100,000 deaths could have been prevented. This is a mass murder via the Ingraham angle. And here is the study. Now, if you go to the Gateway Pundit, that's what this is, right? Yes, Gateway Pundit. You will be able to see this because this is from yesterday. So you will be able to listen to it there. I don't think we need to take the time now. I don't know how long it is, so hang on. Let me see how long it is.
One of the most pernicious lies regarding COVID have to do with what may be a potential prophylactic treatment.
Well, I hesitate to play this because they're talking about hydroxychloroquine and it's likely to get this banned, but you will be able to see it yourself if you go to Gateway Pundit, which is just www.thegatewaypundit.com. It is in yesterday's news feed. So yeah, you'll be able to find this and listen to it. It was published August 6th at 7:30 a.m. So let's go back now. And, you know, I'm really hoping that there is some accountability here because there needs to be. There needs to be. He literally was responsible for the deaths of many Americans. Now, I'm not going to say 100,000 Americans because we don't know how many of those deaths, you know, like somebody killed in a car accident, died of COVID, and somebody that died in a motorcycle accident, COVID, someone that drowned, died of COVID, you know. So we don't know that those numbers are even right, but we do know it would have saved lives and it would have saved the country an awful lot of headache and despair because people could have gone back to work and the economy wouldn't have needed to be shut down. But of course they wanted to do all that to make Donald Trump look bad. Well, I hope it comes back and bites them hard on the hinder parts. I hope that it takes a chunk right out of their butts. Yeah, chunk right out of their butts. So they'll have to go around saying, I don't know, but my back porch done fell off. My back porch done dropped off the house. Anyway, that's my... And don't think I'm making fun of people from the South. Somebody said that once to me. They were absolutely insulted. They were like, how dare you make fun of another culture? I was like, I lived in that culture for most of my adult life. Like, yeah, I can sound Southern. In fact, I had a very big accent when I moved back to Canada. I've just lost it because I'm around, you know, people that I grew up with, and I just kind of lost that Southern accent. Maybe because people kept saying, what? Anyway, let's go on. Because we can, and we will. Okay. Yeah, I can't remember what this is, but I must have seen it, or else I wouldn't have put it in here. It says, what do you conclude? Beirut, explosion, Beirut. So let's look at this. This doesn't look familiar to me, so I'm not sure why I put it in here.
This video, now looking at the videos we've seen come out of Beirut, it looks strikingly similar in the aftermath. See this?
7 months ago?
7 months ago. And what caught that was the shockwaves shocked me. I haven't seen a shockwave like that before. It's very distinctive.
Until today.
It's very distinctive.
Yeah, it's the same shape. Everything looks identical.
It looks like an air bubble coming up and then dissipating. That's exactly what we saw in Beirut.
Like a low-yield nuclear blast.
Yes, and the Israelis and Americans refer to this as bunker busters. The Moab could be considered the most powerful bunker buster we have. This video.
So, yeah, that is why, because it shows you that, it shows you an example of, a type of bunker buster, and then it shows you the Beirut, and they're identical. So, yeah, I don't know. I do know they're trying to say, oh, no, nothing hit it. It was just no way. I've seen too many videos. It definitely, something hit that. And there was something of some sort that hit it. And yeah, I think you guys know. All right. Let's go on now, shall we? Let's look at this. Hard to believe, and yet here we are. New York Police Department arrest Black Lives Matter extremist for cutting brakes on New York Police Department vans. Said he wanted to destroy Verrazano Bridge. What kind of broken people, and I don't mean broken as in, dispirited or whatever. I mean, they're broken in their minds somewhere. Something's badly broken. How could you, it doesn't matter if you hate these people or not, how could you cut the brakes on police department vans knowing it could result in death? Not only the death of them, but other innocent people. How do you justify that in your mind and think that's a good thing? Really, get help. Like, if you are one of those people, which I really doubt you are if you are watching this, because if you're watching this and you're one of those types of people, then I don't know how you got in here. But anyway, really, get help. I don't know how broken somebody has to be to think, yeah, that's what I'm going to do. I'm just going to cut all the brakes on these vans, and then when they go out in traffic and they're driving, they won't be able to stop. And maybe they'll die, which is what they're hoping. Let's admit it. So it says the New York Police Department arrested a man they say cut the brake line to at least one police van parked on a street in Brooklyn. Video of the man sabotaging the vehicle shows the suspect underneath the van in Sunset Park along 4th Avenue and 42nd Street. Police spotted the man before they got into the van and found a pair of scissors on him. A senior police official said a mechanic confirmed the brake line damage that would have prevented the van from coming to a stop. Isn't that special? And these type of people are running around, living and breathing among us, but they're not like us. I'm sorry, they're not like us. I have a hard time believing that anyone that's listening to my voice right now would do something like that. I have a very hard time believing it, if it's true, because it's unbelievable. So, the New York Police, okay, we read that, and let's see what else we have here. Says officers arrested 24-year-old Jeremy Trapp. He had been charged with reckless endangerment and criminal mischief. Officials say Trapp was seen at times coming and going from the Occupy City Hall protests in recent weeks. The alleged crime comes amid what New York Police Department officials are calling deeply troubling anti-police environment. They point to previous cases of police vehicles firebombed, officers attacked, and vehicles sabotaged in other ways, lug nuts loosened on their cars, for example. Trapp was arrested by police on July 17th after he was allegedly seen emerging from under the New York Police Department van. Attempts to find him for comment were unsuccessful, and the public defender's office could not be reached for comment. So this is really, really heinous, and it's no wonder that people are leaving New York. The rich are fleeing New York en masse. I mean, they are getting out of Dodge. And why should they stay? If they have the money to leave, I think anybody right now with the money to leave would probably leave New York. because of the crime, wanton crime, and it's not safe. It's not safe for people that live there. It's definitely not safe for the police. And the police have been made to feel by the very people that should be supporting them. They've been made to feel like they're some sort of horrible human beings. They're just trying to do a job that's very much needed, keeping law and order. I'm not saying there may not be the odd really bad police officer, because I'm quite sure there is, but that's not the majority. And I just think it's awful what's happening, because it's taking a toll on New York as a whole. And now Cuomo's begging people to come back. Are you kidding me? Are you kidding me? People don't want to go back to that hellhole. And it, you know, I'm sure it was a very lovely place to live, but not now. I don't know if any of you live in New York, weigh in the comments, because I'd really love to hear from you. If you think I'm being ridiculous or if I'm blowing this out of proportion, let me know. I'm not there. I'm just going by what I've heard in alternative news sources and so forth, that people are leaving, and, you know, I don't know what they're going to do with all these places that their rent is outrageous, because people are leaving. They're going to be empty. And normal everyday folks can't afford that. So yeah. Anyway, let's go back and see what else we can get into, shall we? Now, you're not going to like this, but I think it's important. Okay. Now, it says FDA under Obama paid for fresh fetal body parts to create humanized mice. Yes, you heard that. FDA under Obama paid for fresh fetal body parts to create humanized mice. This is from yesterday, but still fairly fresh. And it says Judicial Watch, a top government watchdog group, obtained 165 pages of records from the Food and Drug Administration, revealing that under the Obama administration, paid $96,370 for fresh and never frozen tissue from first and second trimester aborted fetuses to use in creating humanized mice for ongoing research. The purchase included 8 contracts signed between 2012 and 2018 with the nonprofit group Advanced Bioscience Resources, ABR, to acquire the baby body parts. So, this is from Judicial Watch, and I've always known them to be very above board. They do fantastic work. I've never seen them be accused of fake news or anything like that, ever. They are completely above board. So if they are saying that this happened, then I believe it. It says ABR was the subject of numerous past criminal referrals issued by House and Senate committees, stated the watchdog. Lawmakers are also investigating whether Planned Parenthood or any new entity was illegally profiting from the handling of fetal tissue from aborted babies, the press release stated. From the Judicial Watch press release, federal law regulates the purchase and acceptance of human fetal tissue for research purposes. It is unlawful to knowingly transfer fetal tissue for profit. Judicial Watch filed the lawsuit in the United States District Court for the District of Columbia. Judicial Watch versus the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services, number 1:19 CV 00876, after HHS failed to respond adequately to a September 28, 2018 Freedom of Information Act request seeking 1. All contracts and related documentation between FDA and Advanced Biosciences Resources, ABR, for the provision of human fetal tissue to be used in humanized mice research. All records reflecting the disbursement of funds to ABR for the provision of human fetal tissue to be used in humanized mice research. They skipped 3, for some reason, I'm not sure why, but 4, all guidelines and procedural documents provided to ABR by FDA relating to the acquisition and extraction of human fetal tissue for its provision to the FDA for humanized mice research. Humanized mice. Why? All communications between FDA officials and employees and representatives of ABR related to the provision of ABR to the FDA of human fetal tissue for the purpose of humanized mice research. Records obtained by the conservative watchdog group reveal a June 28, 2017 email exchange with the subject line FDA RFQ, request for quotation, between a redacted FDA contract specialist and an ABR official named Ms. Larton. The FDA official asks Larton, an ABR official, I am tasked with the purchase of tissue suitable for HM, humanized mice research. I would like to request a quote. Please review the statement of work and quote your pricing as outlined. She then includes a table for 16 human fetal tissue liver, 16 human fetal tissue thymus, 16 HIV, hepatitis A, hepatitis B, hepatitis C tests, and shipping and delivery, the statement of works notes. And again, it's illegal to profit off the sale of human body parts. The Division of Applied Regulatory Science is conducting a research program to evaluate the usefulness of humanized mice for regulatory purposes. The humanized mice are created by surgical implantation of human tissue into mice that have multiple genetic mutations that block the development of the mouse immune system at the very early stage. The absence of the mouse immune system allows the human tissues to grow and develop into functional human tissues. As far as this process, DARS needs to repeatedly acquire the proper type of tissue. In order for the humanization to proceed correctly, we need to obtain fetal tissue with a specific set of specialized characteristics. So that's what they're doing with aborted babies. They're using them for research, and we knew that. But looks to me like these places are profiting off the sale of human tissue, which is, as I stated, illegal. So let's really, really hope that something is done about this. And I am so thankful to Judicial Watch for the work that they do. All right, humanized mice. Who knew? All right, let's go back because there's more. There's always more. And Zero Hedge, this is interesting. Over 80% of Black Americans don't want to abolish police. While Black Lives Matter would have one believe that cops are inherently evil and must be abolished, a new Gallup poll finds that most minorities in America don't feel that way. Of those surveyed, 61% of Black Americans are just fine with current levels of police presence in their area, while 20% say they want more patrols. Aw, that's an awesome picture. I love that. Anyway, overall, 67% of all U.S. adults prefer the status quo, while 19% say they want police to spend more time in their area. Which group wants the most reductions to policing in their area? Asians at 28%, followed by Black Americans at 19%, Hispanics at 17%, and white Americans at 12%. On average, 86% of American adults want the same or more level of policing in their area. It's interesting that Asians wanted the most reductions. That's interesting to me. I'm not sure what would account for that, but yeah, but blacks, only 19% of them want a reduction in policing, which means that 81% of them want the same or more. So yeah, Black Lives Matter, they lie. Let's just say it the way it is. When it comes to how often police are seen in a neighborhood, Asians report the most at 47%, followed by whites at 42%, blacks at 41%, and Hispanics at 37%. According to the poll, the slightly elevated frequency with which Black Americans see police in their neighborhood has limited impact on their preference for changing the local police presence. About a third of Black Americans who say they often see the police in their neighborhood think the police should spend less time there, 34%. However, the majority of adults in this group think that they should spend the same amount of time, 56%, or more time, 10%. That said, while Black Americans are about as comfortable as the overall population with the amount of police presence in their area, less than 20% of Blacks feel very confident that they would be treated with courtesy and respect by the police. 24% of Asians say the same, while 40% of Hispanic Americans and 56% of whites are confident they would be treated well in an interaction with cops. When factoring in those who are at least somewhat confident that the police would treat them well, a majority of Black Americans, 61%, are generally confident, but this is still below the 85% seen nationally, including 91% of white Americans. Very, very interesting. Overall, the same proportion of Black Americans who are not at all confident that the police would treat them well, 59% of them want police to spend less time in their area, while the majority of Blacks in America, including those not too confident about receiving positive treatment, want cops to spend the same amount of time or more where they live. Very interesting. Gallup also found, notably, simply having an interaction with the police in the past year has no bearing on Black Americans' preference for local police presence in their area. 79% of those who have had interaction with the police in the last 12 months say they want the police to spend more or the same amount of time in their neighborhoods. 21% favor less time. 82% of those who have not had an interaction want the same or greater police presence. 18% want less. What does matter is the quality of the interaction. 45% of Black Americans who report not being treated with courtesy or respect by the police within the past 12 months want less of a police presence in their neighborhood. Meanwhile, 55% want the same or more police presence. By contrast, just 13% of those who did not feel they were treated respectfully want the police to spend less time in their neighborhoods. 87% want them there as much or more often. In short, most Black Americans don't want changes in police presence, though nearly 40% feel they're less likely to have a positive encounter with cops than other races. Some of that, too, is how you approach the police, really. I mean, when you're saying, but I didn't do anything, and not cooperating, that's not helping the issue at all. And I'm very... when I was stopped by the police, I always made sure my hands were visible because you don't know. And they have a rough job. They're risking their lives every time they approach a car. So I'm always polite and I thank them. Even when they give me a ticket, I thank them and I say, well, thank you. I know you're doing your job. So a lot of that is attitude, I believe. Not all. Some cops are just going to mistreat Black people. That's just the bottom line. They are, because they have a negative stereotype, or they've had bad encounters with them in the past, so they think they're going to encounter that with everyone. So yeah, there's some of that too. All right, let's go back. Really, let's. Okay, let's look at this. I can't remember what this is, but must be, I put it in here, so it must be something. Oh yes, we've already seen this. We've already seen this, so I don't think we need to see it again. It was in the last video. If you're thinking, well, I didn't see that. All right. And let's go back. Yes, let's look at this. Okay, chaos continues. Portland rioters rage in residential neighborhoods despite federal withdrawal. And this is actually from 2 days ago, so I apologize. I should have brought this to you yesterday. Anti-police protesters continued to shut down several neighborhoods in Portland, Oregon Wednesday night, despite a withdrawal of federal agents protecting a courthouse downtown. Portlanders need to send a strong message that enough is enough. Police Chief Lavelle told reporters at Tom McCall Waterfront Park, according to KGW TV in Portland, this is not forwarding the goals that are going to lead to better outcomes for people of color. This movement is really powerful, but the violence has taken away from it. This is not what Portland is about. This is not what we need in our city. The protests, which have sometimes turned into late-night riots, focused on the Multnomah County Justice Center and the federal courthouse, have continued unabated for more than 2 months since the May 25th death of George Floyd in police custody in Minneapolis, reports Fox News. I've never seen a summer like this, Lavelle added. And yeah, so it is bad. They are going into the neighbor. And, you know, I saw some videos, and actually they were knocking on people's doors, and when they answered, they were shining those lasers in their eyes. Well, those lasers permanently blind you. Permanently. So why are they doing that? Why? They are purposefully blinding people. Could you imagine how radically your life would change if you suddenly lost your eyesight? Really? I mean, most people couldn't do the job that they do. They'd have to relearn everything. I mean, I don't get that. I don't get that mentality of, gee, let's cut the brakes, or, you know, let's, you know, break the windows and throw fire into this place and burn it up. Like, I don't get that. But I guess we're not meant to, because, you know what? It's a good thing we don't get it. Don't you think? All right. Let's see. And yeah, let's look at this. Under Obama, we had the H1N1 virus. Under Donald Trump, we have COVID-19. So the H1N1 virus, U.S. cases were 60.8 million. Panic level was 0, and China was blamed. That was under Trump. Under Obama. And of course, they would blame China because nothing's ever Obama's fault. And now under President Trump, U.S. cases, 4.6 million. And that was as of August 1st, 2020. Now, 4.6 million compared to 60.8 million. That's a big difference. No panic there for the 60.8 million, and China's blamed. But over here, with just 4.6 million, we got panic level, mass hysteria, U.S. closed for business, basically, and Trump blamed. Yeah. How do you explain that? Which of these presidents gave a $3.7 million grant to Wuhan Labs? Well, that would be this one. Yeah, Obama. Interesting. Now, let's look at this. All right, I love this. And Lisa Mae Crowley said, love it. Packed house at Evangelicals for Trump prayer and praise event in Las Vegas, Nevada. Governor banned church service, but casinos can operate at 50% capacity. So we are praying in a casino. Now, you gotta love that. I love that spirit. I really do. You know, it's like, okay, well, people are able to meet at a casino, so, well, we're not allowed to meet at church, so let's go to the casino and praise God there. And I think that this is awesome. Absolutely awesome. And people are wearing their masks and they're social distancing, and there's no problem. And there wouldn't be any problem in churches either, because people would just be, I mean, I would be delighted if I could go to church and praise God, sing, clap, you know, happy clappy. Yeah. And I would be willing to space out in the seat, wear a mask. I don't like it, but I would. But these people, now, my hat's off to them. That's awesome. I wish more people would think of things like that. Okay, now let's look at this. It's nutty. NRA fights back, files its own suit, hang on here, against New York Attorney General seeking to disband organization. And I'm sure you've heard that the Attorney General for New York wants to disband the NRA. Well, the NRA is fighting back and they are filing suit against her. So President Trump slammed AG Letitia James' suit against the group, calling it a very terrible thing. And it is, because it would limit our right to bear arms. The National Rifle Association is fighting back against a lawsuit filed Thursday by New York Attorney General by submitting its own civil suit against the state official, accusing her of defamation and violating its rights to free speech. The NRA lawsuit was filed in the federal court of New York and alleges Attorney General Letitia James made the political prosecution of the NRA a central campaign theme when she was running for the AG's office in 2018 and has not treated the association fairly since. Despite hopes that playing by the rules would procure a just outcome, the NRA has not been treated fairly by James' office, the 19-page suit states. The New York Democratic Party political machine seeks to harass, defund, and dismantle the NRA because of what it believes and what it says. The defamation allegations stem from James' public descriptions of the NRA as a criminal enterprise and a terrorist organization, of which it's certainly not. James boasted that she would strike foul blows against the NRA and pound the NRA into submission. She vowed that she would use the New York Attorney General's investigative and enforcement powers for the precise purpose of stanching political speech. Deadly propaganda, the lawsuit states. She has begun to deliver on her campaign promises to retaliate against the NRA for constitutionally protected speech on issues that James opposes. As New York Attorney General, James has regrettably succumbed to individual passions and individual malevolence. And President Trump also slammed James' suit against the group, calling it a very terrible thing. I think the NRA should move to Texas and lead a very good and beautiful life, and I've told them that for a long time. I think they should move to Texas. Texas would be a great state, or to another state of their choosing, but I would say that Texas would be a great place and an appropriate place for the NRA. That's true. James sued the NRA, which is headquartered in Fairfax, Virginia, in an effort to dissolve the guns rights groups for years of self-dealing and illegal conduct, she announced Thursday. The lawsuit, filed Thursday in the Supreme Court of the state of New York, alleges that the NRA diverted millions of dollars away from its charitable mission for personal use by senior leadership. She further slammed the association for what she calls years of self-dealing and illegal conduct that violates New York's charities law and undermines its own mission. The 166-page lawsuit names 4 NRA executives, including CEO Wayne LaPierre, as defendants. Contrary to his statutory duty of care, loyalty, and obedience to the mission of charity, LaPierre has undertaken a series of actions to consolidate his position, to exploit that position for his personal benefit and that of his family, to continue by use of secret poison pill contract his employment even after removal, and ensuring NRA income for life, and to intimidate, punish, and expel anyone at a senior level who raised concerns about his conduct, the Attorney General lawsuit states. James' office teased what it said would be a major announcement in an email sent out Tuesday night. James said the actions of the accused quartet contributed to the loss of more than $64 million in just 3 years for the NRA. While the lawsuit accuses all 4 men of wrongdoing and seeks fines and remuneration, none of them have been charged with a crime. In turn, NRA President Carolyn Meadows responded by calling the lawsuit a baseless, premeditated attack on the group and the Second Amendment. I would agree. You could have set your watch by it. The investigation was going to reach its crescendo as we move into the 2020 election cycle, Meadows says. It's a transparent attempt to score political points and attack the leading voice in opposition to the leftist agenda. She further called the suit a desperate move that is part of a rank political vendetta. Very true. This has been a power grab by a political opportunist, she said. Our members won't be intimidated or bullied in their defense of political and constitutional freedom. We not only will not shrink from this fight, we will confront it and prevail, and I believe they will. So, says also on Thursday, Washington, D.C. District Attorney Carl Racine announced his office was suing the NRA Foundation for misusing charitable funds. He has been investigating the NRA Foundation for more than a year. Donors gave money to fund firearms safety, firearms education, and marksmanship training, Racine alleged. Instead, that money was diverted to support wasteful spending by the NRA and its executives. In a statement provided to Fox News, a spokesperson for the National Shooting Sports Foundation, a guns trade group, said the association was troubled by James' decision, which he called politically driven. In the lawsuit, spokesperson Mark Oliva said James seeks to punish the over 5 million members of the National Rifle Association based on mere allegations of possible wrongdoing by a few individuals. NSSF is deeply concerned about the apparent political agendas who silence the strongest voice in support of the Second Amendment ahead of the election in November. Oliva added, this lawsuit, and one filed today by the District of Columbia Attorney General, should concern all Americans who cherish both the First and Second Amendments to our Constitution, regardless of their views on what laws and regulations are appropriate to address the criminal misuse of firearms. Now, that is, it's a very good article. It's well written, and it's awesome because I am so relieved that they are fighting back. I really am, because if the NRA goes, well, it's true. It's the biggest advocate for both the First and Second Amendment. So yeah, there you go. And let's come back now. We are running out of time. I don't want to go too much longer here. Okay, and this is Representative Paul Gosar, DDS. Democrats want to close churches and schools for one very obvious reason. They're common polling places. Anything to get all mail. Yeah, that's what they want, all mail voting. And he said, I'm voting. And it says here, Donald Trump Jr. says, when it comes to reopening schools, Democrats are doing what's best for the teachers union. The teachers union is doing what's best for themselves, and neither are doing what's best for the students or their families. Return tweet if you agree with Donald Trump that schools must reopen. Well, I agree. Absolutely. But what is really troubling, and I wonder what they're up to, they have done, the liberals seem to have, the Democrats seem to have done a complete turnaround, complete 180. Now they're saying schools should open. Now, I don't know what they're up to, but I don't trust them. I don't know why they would one day say, no, schools shouldn't open, and then the next day say, no, I think, well, yeah, definitely, they all should open. What's going on? Something's definitely going on. All right, and James Wood, the only thing you need to know about this election is the constant and virulent hatred the Democrat Party has for law enforcement in this country. It's evident in every major Democrat city, from the riots in the streets to the corruption endemic to their failed leadership. So true. So true. Now, I think this is the last item. No, it isn't the last item. It just goes on and on and on. Yes, it does. All right. Well, let's take a look at this. Hate to miss anything. If I was the Luciferian cabal, I'd come up with the genius idea of pushing a vaccine for COVID-19 that causes a childhood disease, but warn everyone beforehand that an outbreak of the disease is already expected. That's how you herd sheep off a cliff. And this is what they're talking about. Remember, I brought this up in the last video, not the last video today, but it would be, I guess, Wednesday's video. Attention, very important info. Outbreak expected, liability removed. They are already set up and prepped the narrative. Read the graphic, reconcile. And that's exactly what we're going to do. Telling you. Okay, remember this? I brought this up on Wednesday. CDC expects 2020 outbreak of life-threatening AFM in children, acute flaccid myelitis, medical emergency. Remember, I brought that up and I said, well, gee, this kind of makes me wonder what they have up their sleeve, that they're announcing this before it's even happened. Well, let's go here. AFM affects young children mostly because it is listed side effect of childhood vaccines. And if you didn't know, there's 72 on the childhood schedule, not the same amount that we or our parents got. They're expecting this to be an outbreak in young children because they'll be releasing the new COVID vaccine and mandating it for children in school. I agree. I 100% agree. I could have seen this coming 300 miles away and did. So there you go. And then we've got this, AstraZeneca to be exempt from coronavirus vaccine liability claims in most countries. So you put that together and we've got the perfect storm. They're announcing something before they've done it. CDC expects 2020 outbreak of life-threatening AFM in children. Is this why the liberals want, or the Democrats want, children in school? Because then they can mandate that children must be vaccinated. And when they're vaccinated, this is what will happen because it is a symptom or a side effect of childhood vaccines. So they're expecting this 2020 outbreak of life-threatening AFM, and they want the kids back in school so that, well, you know, these are not nice people. And they don't care how many people have to die in order for them to fulfill their political agenda. And they don't care if it's your child or my child or whose child it is. And it's sickening. It's absolutely, positively sickening. Now, I'm going to try to attempt to get through. This is Dinesh D'Souza. I'm highly amused to see supposedly sophisticated media types snickering at Donald Trump for saying Thailand. These faux sophisticates don't realize Trump's way of saying it is right, and it is. Thailand is the crude lingo of people who have never been to Thailand. And that is actually how you pronounce it, Thailand. He pronounced it right, but the ignorant media, of course, made fun of him and think that he is an idiot, when really they just prove how mentally challenged they are. Yeah. Now, this is the last item tonight, anyway, and let's look at this, because I bet you haven't seen this before. The untold truth of George Soros' wife, Tomiko Bolton. Now, this is from November 2019, but I don't care. I've never seen anything on George Soros' wife. I happened to come across this in my travels, and I thought, you know, I bet you people, if I had never seen anything about his wife, I'm betting there's others. So, who is George Soros' wife? Tomiko Bolton. Wiki bio, Tomiko Bolton was born in the U.S. in 1971. My gosh, she's a baby. Compared to him, and came under the spotlight after marrying one of the richest people in the world, George Soros, a Hungarian-American investor. Tomiko was born to a nurse who immigrated to the U.S. from Japan and to a father who was a naval commander. She spent her early life in California before enrolling at the University of Utah, from which she graduated with her bachelor's degree in 1993. After that, she enrolled at the University of Miami and obtained a master's degree in 1995. Tomiko launched her career in pharmacy and education shortly after obtaining her bachelor degree. She is currently working as a licensed pharmacist, while she is also an education consultant. After marrying George, she became an entrepreneur. She has launched her own business through which she sells dietary supplements, including products containing vitamins for those who are exercising or trying to lose weight. She also has her own website on which she offers yoga lessons. Tomiko was married one time before George. She exchanged wedding vows with an unknown man in the mid-90s, but it did not last long, and Tomiko has never revealed his identity. Tomiko met George at a party in 2008. He was married 2 times prior to making Tomiko his wife in September 2013. Tomiko was 42 at the time of the wedding, and George was twice her age. Leading the newspapers to write about the newly married couple, the wedding reception was held at the Caramore Center for Music and the Arts and counted 500 guests. George's second wife, Adriana Ferrer filed a lawsuit against him after he gifted Tomiko with a $1.9 million apartment in Manhattan, which he allegedly promised to give her. She also attacked Tomiko and the lawyers defending her at the court. The case is still open. So, George Soros was born in Budapest in Hungary on the 12th of August. Oh my gosh, he shares my birth date. Oh, okay, that's it. I want a new birth date. No, really, I do. Because that's mine, August 12th. And I don't want it associated with him. Oh, yuck, yuck. His zodiac sign is Leo. So if he was born in 1930, what does that make him? 70. He's in his 90s. He's 90, 91. Anyway, George was 13 years old when Hungary was occupied by the Germans during World War II, and the Soros family escaped being imprisoned and deported thanks to buying forged documents which showed they were Christians. At the age of 17, George moved to live in England and enrolled at the London School of Economics to financially support himself. He worked as a waiter and a railway porter and graduated with a Bachelor's of Science degree in philosophy in 1951, followed in 1954 by obtaining his Master's of Science degree in philosophy. George's first job in investing was for a merchant bank. Okay, I don't care about all that. George came to worldwide fame after he earned over $1 billion when he sold around 10 billion in pounds sterling. This led to the UK withdrawing from the European exchange rate mechanism and devaluing the pound, giving George the title of the man who broke the Bank of England. Ugh. Like, look at him. It's like he's got Samsonite luggage down there. Like he's probably carrying 3 or 4 refugees right under his eyes. Anyway, and here it says, George Soros speaks at a World Economic Forum dinner in Davos about the state of American democracy on the eve of the presidential inauguration. The United States has a strong constitution and resilient institutions, and even though this moment may usher in grave threats to our democracy, I am current that open society will prevail. Yeah. George has 2 sons named Robert and Jonathan, and a daughter, Andrea, with his first wife, Annalise Witzchak, who he divorced in 1983. He has 2 children named Alexander and Gregory with Susan Weber, whom he married in 1983 and divorced in 2005. He and Tomiko have no children together. Tomiko is interested in philanthropy. All right. Tomiko is 48 years old and has long brown hair and brown eyes. Her net worth is over $500,000. Her husband George's net worth is over $8 billion, but it's estimated that he has donated more than $32 billion to charity. So I don't know. I just wanted to show you that because I had never seen mention of his wife or anything else, but she is a good-looking woman and could have had, you know, her choice, but she chose George Soros. Could you imagine having to share a bed with that? Yuck. I would check my hair for lice every night. Anyway, yeah. So I guess, but, you know, rich men tend to attract women that may or may not be with them if they didn't have that wealth. So anyway. All right. Well, that's it for tonight. Anyway, I am all lopsided here. I guess there. I'm in the middle now. Yeah. I don't know what I was even saying. I've lost my train of thought. It's jumped the track somewhere. Where is it? I'm not sure. Anyway, well, I hope you guys have a wonderful night. If you like the channel, consider supporting us, and I will be hopefully back tomorrow if, you know, Lord willing and the creek don't rise. So I will talk to you guys then. Stay safe, stay well, stay blessed, and of course, keep seeking truth. Good night.